Amazing moments happen so much at SiriusXM, we want you to see them. SiriusXM Video lets you watch your favorite SiriusXM shows on the SiriusXM app. Groundbreaking interviews, amazing in-show moments, behind-the-scenes footage, live performances, all come to life in a way you only imagined before. Plus, you can create your own personalized Pandora station based on the artists you love. And hear over 100 extra channels filled with ad-free music for every mood or occasion. Get your first 6 months of our Platinum plan for only $8.33 per month, plus fees and taxes. Just call 844-711-8800 to take advantage of this amazing offer.
Game on SiriusXM.
This team never stops.
Hear your hometown announcers on the all-new SiriusXM app.
They celebrate at home plate.
And talk baseball every day with our team of former players and executives on MLB Network Radio, Channel 89.
There's just something magical about baseball.
To listen to MLB Network Radio, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or head to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
For the best. With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
Is back. All my music on my very own channel, the Billy Joel Channel. His songs, his stories.
There were these 2 Italian guys that owned this recording studio. Wow, they had a piano, they had microphones, and I was really impressed. I wanted to know what everything was. What does that do? What does that do? What does that do?
The Billy Joel Channel, happening now for a limited time. SiriusXM Channel 79 and the SiriusXM app.
Curious. There you go now.
I think everything.
Oh, that's nice.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018148868.
Rondo Deportes, Bonjour, Vini Vini Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe. And that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. A beautiful day in the neighborhood. Want to be my neighbor. Shut up. You know it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you fool. Well, I tell you, I've been voted neighborhood spokesperson. I like bringing people together when it's 3 o'clock in the morning. So you voted for me so that you get what you get, if that makes sense to you. Hopefully everything works out fine with the Neighborhood Watch program. I want to say what a beautiful hot day in Dimdale Hills, California, July the 12th, 2024. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, tell them sent you, where the good Lord split you. And hopefully the good Lord didn't split you too wide. I think he split a lot of people wide. All's fair and never war. I tell you, I've been dealing with some heat stroke over the last week. When the temperature gets about 100 plus, for some reason I have these headaches. So I went to the doctor yesterday, and I got my blood work, and so they should be getting back to me with some good information. For the most part, I'm expecting the best, but I'm telling you, heat stroke as well makes you feel lightheaded. And I'm actually being very candid. I'm on blood pressure medication, and maybe that affects it also. But I just want to make sure that I'm safe and telling people, if you don't feel good, say it. That's how I feel. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to say I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. I know I can use more laughter. And then, outside of laughter, the commercials are done. The stats are provided. The storytelling. I even do the play-by-play. I got some big C's, Major League Baseball power rankings coming up today. I got runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep. Left field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. Looks like the Philadelphia Phillies got over on the LA Dodgers and they knocked them out 3-0. But it's just midway through the season. We're not even into the All-Star game. So the Dodgers have no fear. You still got the back 9 to go, if that makes sense to you. And then I tell you, the show's uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Number 10, I never missed a show since creating Big City Sports with the crew back in the days of Salem Media. When I'm telling you, on the Wall Street Business Network, we brought a sports program there, and they called us the Dream Team, if that makes sense to you. At the same time, I want to do what I always do for every Big City Sports podcast. I want to make sure I pay homage to our military veterans, because they really are experienced to helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Some people think, oh, we just want to say thank you for your service. But it's bigger than that. I want to say, if you know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to make sure that you let them know, give them some praise. I say give them praise, man. Latin is strike. They really do a great job of helping people. And people are going through all kind of issues nowadays. I got people that are going through things. I got my own issues. I don't like these headaches, but I did go to the doctor because it's the right thing to do. And then, of course, they took all my blood. I say, are you all his ball? Get mine. You know, Spock in the great Star Trek. When they took Spock's blood, his blood was green. My blood was red, but it still they had to do it to run some tests. I mean, all fair and level work. So I love giving out that Veterans Crisis Hotline, because they know mine is a terrible thing to waste, and they do a great job trying to help people. I want to also say, I got these thoughts about what I love about Big City Sports Podcast. I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big City Sports to the universe. And just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. And then the light appeared. Right now, we got to have a cooling wave. God, we don't need lightning tonight. We need it to cool down. It's so hot in them there hills. You just got to make sure you stay hydrated. That's what I'm trying to do. Staying hydrated and making sure that I take my medications and do the best thing I can do, because that's what life's all about. I want to say with Big City Sports Podcast, I love doing things that are factual about the show that I have with Big City Sports Podcast, and I want to make sure that I cover some Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. This is the time of year where it's so hot in them there hills, California. I know some people say, there's no such thing as global warming. Well, maybe there's not a such thing as global warming, but there is something such as hot. Like hot. And I don't like it when it's too hot. I like it when it's cool. I even sleep with a fan on because I like it cool when my body's not so hot. But that's okay. I do know that today I believe in being candid. I don't feel the best, but they say the show must go on because that's what life is. Now, I'm not some fool that says I'm just going to do what I want to do anyway with the excessive heat that's running through them dear hills, California. So I stay hydrated as much as I can, and I do the best I can with that. But I do want to say, check on our veterans. It's unfortunate there's times we see people who are they're just laid out on the sidewalks or laid down under under a tree at a park trying to get some shade and trying to keep their bodies from getting too warm. I know some people say they like it when it's hot. I kind of like it when it's cool. For me personally, when it's about 75 degrees and breezy, that's what I say. I like it breezy. Breezy like Sunday morning. Yeah, we want the real Lionel Richie. And it's not breezy, it's easy. Okay, well, let Lionel Richie do it when he has heat stroke. He might think it's Sunday morning or breezy also, if that makes sense. But I'm trying to have fun because that's what I want to do with Big C Sports Podcast. I know the Olympics are getting across the pond, getting ready for that. There's a lot of NBA basketball players that are down in Las Vegas, and thank goodness they're playing inside, trying to just get ready for the Olympics. So it's all fair and love and war. They have this summer league basketball, as if they don't give them enough time to take a break. But that's okay. Teams try to get ready for the push that happens in October. NFL football, my goodness, there's a lot of good old boys getting ready for camp. I listened to a good old boy today on the radio and saying he's ready for NFL camps to start. And then I have some college football, some news about college football. No longer do we have the Power 5. It's more like the Power 4 now with the Big 12. You have the SEC. You have the Big 10 and the ACC. And the Pac-12 is gone. And that's a shame. The Pac-12 has been around over 100 years. But they decided they would fold the tent because they could not get the sponsorship. And that's a shame. And they could have done better because the Pac-12 had a lot of great programs in it, and now they're scattered. Arizona State, Utah, and also Colorado are joining the Big 12. You have Stanford, and then Cal joining the ACC for some reason. USC, UCLA, Washington, and also Oregon are joining the Big 10. You have the Pac-2 left, which is Oregon State and Washington State. They're going to play mostly Mountain West teams, but that's a shame to me. You have the Pacific Ocean, the West Coast, and the states that run along the Pacific Ocean with Washington and then Oregon and California, and now they're outside of college football. No more Pac-12. What a shame. Some great players that have come out of the Pac-12. Hall of Famers Warren Moon, John Elway come out of the Pac-12. You got the great Lynn Swann came out of the Pac-12. Ronnie Lott came out of the Pac-12. Jim Plunkett came out of the Pac-12. You got so many great players. Troy Aikman came out of the Pac-12. You have so many wonderful athletes that came out of the Pac-12, but now they said no more Pac-12. We don't want to have the Pac-12. We want to go back and go to the Pac-2. They fleeced the Pac-12 conference. They let it happen, and that's a shame because they're not coming back. They have 2 more years, I believe, where they can add to the conference, but it's not the same. For USC, UCLA to leave to go to the Big Ten, to me, that's just a shame. You're in the second largest media market in the United States, where you can play against each other and then play against the Bay Area teams, Cal and Stanford, and then go up to Washington and play the Huskies. Now they're going to go up to the Midwest, where they're playing Purdue. They're playing Indiana. They're playing Rutgers. They're playing Minnesota. They're playing Wisconsin. They're playing Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan State. That doesn't make any sense to me. They're playing the Ohio State Buckeyes. They even play Nebraska. What happened to the Pac-12? It's a sad showing. It's a sad song, but they let it happen because they could not get their act together. Pac-12, are the audience in mind? I guess they were. Maybe they were also suffering from heat stroke. I know what it can do. It can make you forget things. I want to say, even with my platforms, I've lost about 1,100 pictures. I don't know where they went, but I believe I'll get them back when I get a chance to have it looked at by a professional. The heat is doing crazy things to platforms, not only people, but platforms too. But it won't stop me from doing what I got to do. I got a call today from some good old boys looking to help find what they can do for some long-term care. I'm going to make sure that I do my best to get in that and get them involved in it too. But as I say, sometimes you just got to do things. What a Two Live Crew say? Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name. That was Ted Danson and Cheers. Okay, but they still said the same thing. You want to go where everybody knows your name. I have an infomercial that I'm working on, and I'm careful about what I do because we all going to need long-term care at some point in time. Half of us will, and there are times we just keep rolling along thinking everything's going to be fine, that we'll be fine, nothing's going to happen to us, but we got to make sure that we get the information so we can protect ourselves. And that's what I want to do when it comes to the RDC team in Big C Sports. So Ready, Set, Go, a guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. RC Resource Development Consultant with the RDC team in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and the law office of attorney George Jones. The Missing Link, long-term care solutions by the book, over 3 decades of experience helping seniors get their benefits. Medicare and You, taking care of tomorrow. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. In other places, it's called Medicaid. Your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. Find out your options. Our promise to you, 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. Our promise to you, to specialize, to navigate, and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without a spend down. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by a staff of entitlement specialists, ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medications, medical equipment costs, and more. Have you ever known anyone to deal with skilled nursing facilities? Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical prescriptions? I have. Have you ever known anyone to deal with medical equipment costs and more? Not only that, protection of your assets. I always say I'm a Trekkie, and I believe that people can understand what a Trekkie went through. If you ever watched the TV series Star Trek, they had this 5-year mission to explore new worlds, to seek out new frontiers, and to boldly go where no one had gone before. But they had Captain James T. Kirk, commander of the USS Starship Enterprise, and he had his good old boys with him. He had Bones, he had his best friend Spock, he had Lieutenant Uhura, he had Scotty, he had Solo, he had so many wonderful people. But one day, Captain Kirk, he went out on a little coffee break, and they were in Romulan territory. And I remember Captain Kirk telling to Scotty to man the bridge. And then they realized they had drifted into Romulan territory, and Scotty didn't put the shields up. And Captain Kirk said, "Scotty, are the audio Vulcan mine?" And he said, well, what's wrong, Captain Kirk? He said, we're in dangerous territory. You got to have our shields up. We got to protect our assets. He said, well, what about Spock? He's your right-hand man. Why don't you have Spock do it? Well, he said, Spock, can you tell Scotty to please put the shields up? And Spock said, they're not my shields. Why should I do it? He said, Spock, are the audio Vulcan mine? Because they were having heat stroke, too. I got heat stroke on the USS Starship Enterprise. They had to put up the shields so they would be protected from the Romulans and the Klingons, because they were birds of prey, and the Klingon battle cruiser. They came to kill, steal, and destroy in order to protect your assets. You gotta have a trust called a force field, therefore including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family, avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program called probate. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. Not only that, if you ever watched a science fiction show called Star Wars, they had the great Darth Vader. He said, Luke, I am your father. Join the dark side. And Luke said, you're not my dad. I'm not going to join the dark side. He said, Luke, you can feel it. I am your daddy. And Luke said, well, I don't want to join the dark side, Daddy. I don't want to join the dark side. And Darth Vader said, Luke, if you want someone to protect your assets, you got to join the dark side, because we're going to take apart you good old boys. And Luke said, well, you're not my daddy, and he cut his hand off. Because Darth Vader forgot to protect his assets. And Luke cut his hands off. Well, it's not that drastic when you have a trust. You don't have to get your hands cut off, but you do need a trust with the asset protection, insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal, planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance, veterans benefits, aid and attendance, pre-planning and avoid the look-back period. It protects your fixed assets, your bank account, your checking account, your savings account, your money market accounts, your certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, your fixed indexed annuities. It also protects your variable assets, your real estate, your qualified IRAs. Think about that. 401ks and other investments. Avoid capital gains. Let's say you buy a house for $100,000. Where can we find that house, Big C? Well, let me finish the story. And then, 1 year later, it appreciates to $1 million, according to some real estate brokers who say what they got to say to make it sell. Well, that's a $900,000 capital gains. You avoid that with a trust if that makes sense to you. Over 3 decades of experience. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. Attention business owners. All hands on deck. Attention business owners. Find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. My insurance covers everything. All we need is a copy of your insurance declaration page. 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. And when you do, you want to give that some praise. I say give it praise, praise, praise. But not only that, if you have anyone that says we want you to use our program, and we want you to use our program to protect your assets, oftentimes you got to ask them, well, who else, who have you been protected before you started talking to me? We have the endorsements of some pretty high-minded people. And most companies, they don't give you the endorsements because some companies don't have endorsements. But we do with the RDC team. We have the endorsement of the late James Gomez, who advised governors and led change in California nursing homes. He served on Golden One's board of directors. And not only that, the great James Gomez is CEO of California Association of Health Facilities, Sacramento, California, United States. Experienced the California Association of Health Facilities for 21 years. What a great endorsement. He endorsed the RDC team. Not only that, we have the late Robert Carlson, who was the top legal mind of CalPERS. He endorsed the RDC team. That's important. Not only that, we have George Jones, Esquire. He's the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce. He endorsed the RDC team. Also, not only that, the California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. Not only that, we have Mr. Leon Woods, Resource Development Consultant. He endorsed the RDC team. He works with many of the top lobbyists in California. But not only that, we have Miss Cheryl Brown. She's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. She endorses the RDC team. But not only that, we have Mr. Ray De La Cruz, the CEO of Resource Development Consultant, been doing this thing over 34 years. Not only that, has high endorsements from CalPERS and also the late Jim Gomez. But not only that, we have Mr. Alex De La Cruz. He's a co-founder. He's a founder of American Veterans Benefits. But not only that, we have Charlton Curry, the co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project, who does this show with heat stroke. I endorse the RDC team. But not only that, a consultant with the RDC team. But not only that, I own Big C Sports Podcast, and I do my thing even when I have heat stroke. That's how important it is to rise and shine. I always want to rise and shine. But not only that, we have Double O. She's the payout committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. She endorsed the RDC team. But not only that, she is a consultant with the RDC team. And not only that, she has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can Google it on Access Sacramento. And she rises and shines, and she endorses the RDC team. And give that some praise, and you can too. That's what I love saying about Big C Sports Podcast. Everybody has their own thoughts about things. But what I want to also do, I want to make sure, I know I'm going to get into Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings, but I have a push for reparations. I may be the only sports show in the universe that will champion reparations for every show. I want to make sure that I do that because a mind is a terrible thing to waste, and we're owed the money. Just like the Homestead Act, it gave white Americans over 300 million acres of land. But not only that, white Europeans, they told African Americans no. That's not right. Not only that, we did not get the GI Bill, but white soldiers got it when they returned home. That's not right. Not only that, our soldiers returned home to Jim Crow. Our white soldiers did not return home to Jim Crow, and that's why I love paying homage to the California Reparations Task Force, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. But I want you to hear one of the greatest speakers in the history of the universe as he talks to you about why reparations are necessary and reparations should happen, and it should happen before the next election. And I'm going to let you hear him speak, and then I'll come back and give praise to the Reparations Task Force.
Martin Luther King, we had a conversation a couple days ago about handouts and how these right-wing memes, these Republican memes, have infiltrated the Democratic debate to suggest that, ending welfare as we know it, all those kind of things are somehow, great and noble things, when we're not dealing with the underlying problem, which is that there's no economic opportunity there because of insane trade policies and because of Reaganomics. And Martin Luther King spoke to this. Jim and Shane, this is clip number 4. Martin Luther King spoke to this some time back in the early 60s. And I thought this was a really interesting quote. Here he is.
The problem. At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with. And this is the reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our check.
From his speech, The Two Nations of Black America. And it's absolutely brilliant. And the next time some white person talks about, well, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps and my family did too, especially the Bundy boys. I mean, you know, here's Martin Luther King, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. talking about how basically whites stole the West from the Indians with the complete, and didn't just steal it. I mean, murdered them he murdered the Indians in the process, and did not give any of these benefits to African Americans for 100 years in this country. You know, it's a strong case for reparations or some variation on it, for rebuilding our cities, for doing right after having done wrong for so many centuries. It is a very, very strong case for that.
Reparations now, reparations forever. I love saying that because Dr. King was one of the most eloquent speakers ever. And when Dr. King spoke, people listened. That's why he's considered to this day one of the most eloquent speakers. And I know he spoke very highly of doing the right thing and the marches for civil rights. And I know there are a lot of times in the African-American diaspora, there are more people who are focused on whether Drake or Kendrick Lamar have some type of a beef. And I think that's a shame because what our people went through, and now if you're African-American and you get on the air and you do the dirty dozens and try to tear down other African-Americans as opposed to having empathy, then mainstream will make you well off. They'll make you wealthy. They love seeing the tear down of African-Americans. And some guys are so foolish, they'll do it. They don't talk about reparations, but they'll talk about doing the dozens and hurting somebody and how I'm bigger and tougher and stronger than you and you ain't nothing but a blippity blip blop and you a bloppity blop blap. But they don't talk about reparations. And they should. And we are the press. I want to put a call to our beautiful and intelligent African Americans to stop tearing each other down and start talking about building each other up. And let's have this pull for reparations. Even if you don't understand it, just Google it and start supporting the people who understand it. When I tell you about the California Reparations Task Force, and they're trying to make sure that the country atones for its past sin of slavery that only President Abraham Lincoln addressed, no other president has addressed the issue of slavery and reparations for the descendants of child slavery. That's not right. That's not true, Big C. Yes, it is true. What about the Just Act? Well, the Just Act, they addressed reparations for descendants of the Holocaust. The Justice Department and Congress, along with the German government, they addressed reparations for descendants of Holocaust. Called the Just Act, J-U-S-T Act. You can Google that. They could do the same thing for descendants of child slavery. But they've chosen not to so far. They want to study it. They're not studying the Just Act anymore. They're doing it. The time for study is over with the Just Act. They're not studying should they give land to Native Americans that were taken and murdered. They gave land to them. Now they're called reservations. Most places when you go to gamble, you're on a reservation. That's part of the reparations. They've already done. They're not studying that anymore. They've already given reparations to Japanese Americans who were interned in internment camps during World War II. They're not studying that anymore. They already gave the reparations. What's the pullback when it comes to the people who built this country for free from 1619 to 1865? I'm dealing with heat stroke, and they had heat stroke too, but they didn't have any medication. They couldn't go to a doctor and say get better. They just had to stay cool. They worked from sun up to sundown, cradle to grave. No vacations, no time off, no nothing. And now we have to study it. And now that we have the election right around the corner, you're going to hear more and more of our politicians saying what they're going to do for our country, avoiding the biggest elephant in the room. No pun intended. They know that reparations should be top of the mind by the United States government. The same way sports is top of the mind. The whole country and the whole world is coming together for the Olympics. Why not come together for reparations? Because the United Nations, they believe in it. They want us hooked on sports. And that's okay too, but we can do both. That's why I want to give praise to the California Reparations Task Force. I know that a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I want to give praise to the inimitable Dr. Shirley Weber, the Secretary of the State of California. I love giving her praise. She worked with California Governor Gavin Newsom to put together a task force mandate to study reparations. Now Boston, Massachusetts, the city of Boston is doing their own study for reparations. And also New York State Governor Kathy Hochul has put together a task force for reparations. So I want to make sure I do my part. I want to give praise to the chair, Camila Moore. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. She specializes in reparative justice. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Amos C. Brown, the vice chair. I love giving him praise. He's actually been on the Big C Sports podcast about 2 months ago. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. He is amazing. He sponsored Name, Image, and Likeness that helps college student athletes get paid. He also helps sponsor the Ebony Alert that puts the same amount of resources into finding missing black children that the Amber Alert puts into finding missing white children. And he's also part of the California Reparations Task Force. He spoke to the Senate and the Assembly. He was like Moses when Moses in Exodus was talking to God. And God told Moses, he said, go down into Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Moses said, well, who do I tell him to send me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. And that was what Senator Bradford was doing in front of the state Senate and the legislature. When God told Senator Bradford, go down in front of the Senate and the state legislature and tell them to pass reparations now, reparations forever. And Senator Bradford said to God, well, who do I tell him to send me? And God said, tell him I am sent you. It's up to us as good people, you people, to care as much about doing the right thing as we care about sports. All people, all good people, irrespective of what skin pigmentation. I love giving praise to Senator Bradford. I want to give praise, and I met him several times in his office and also at reparations rallies. I want to give praise to Council Member Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to her attorney, Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to attorney Donald K. Tamaki, part of the California Reparations Task Force. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I say give him praise, 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 because we all need somebody to lean on. And once you hear that, imagine when more people started saying it. Before we get into Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings, I want you to hear the words of attorney Areva Martin on reparations.
Not that cash payments by themselves are enough. It's that cash payments is one way to recognize the harm that was done. And it's very interesting when you look at the Jesuit universities, cash payments by themselves and the work to investigate their relationship to slavery. I mean, so much so that they hired genealogists to trace and to find the actual descendants of enslaved people. So, I mean, you have to think about how expansive and, intense and comprehensive this research was. But then you have to also ask yourself, how come these institutions, with all of their resources, never ever utilized an economist, a statistician, a labor, expert to tell us the value of the wages and the wealth that they accumulated. It just looks like this big gaping hole. So I think the question should be reframed. How come the universities aren't sharing with the families the value of the labor and the value of the wealth that they've accumulated? So people are always asking descendants or survivors, why do you want money? And I think the question should be the opposite. How come you're not coming to us with money? When you think about the 9/11 victims or any victims of a disaster in this country, there's never ever a question about should we compensate them. That is a part of our civil, legal, judicial system. You have a harm, somebody else causes it, you are entitled to compensation. It's never ever challenged except in those examples where Black folks are involved. So I think we have to change the narrative around this question, and rather than, and not suggesting you're doing this, but oftentimes families or individuals who are seeking compensation are put on the defensive as if they've done something wrong. No fault of our own. We did nothing wrong. And if you worked for me, I'm an entrepreneur, business owner, if you worked for me and I never paid you, you would have recourse. You would be able to go to a labor board. You'd be able to go into our courts and demand your labor be compensated. You'd be able to get penalties against me for not compensating you. You'd be able to get interest on those wages that I didn't pay you. So again, this isn't like new to capitalism. This is how our country is built. This is how we operate today. You work, I pay. Let's be clear. So our request in terms of compensation restitution is not the total amount that was calculated. We calculated that amount because we felt like it needed to be a part of the conversation. It's on the table. We're not asking them for $74 billion. We're asking them to consider the value of that slave labor in the same way they are considering other aspects of their relationship with enslaved people. What we hope to get out of it is, first, that descendants are literally put back on this committee, that this is no longer a university exclusive committee, that the descendants are there at the table, that they commit to a timeline. Loyola University of Maryland went through this process and wrapped their work up in 2 years. You can Google them and see what they've done in 2 years. We're into year 5, and we've not even sat down and talked about a plan. So we also hope that there's a commitment to wrap this work up in some foreseeable future, 6 months, 12 months, that it not just go on indefinitely. And then we are asking that the plan that is developed includes not only some of the things that we see in this work, monuments, things that give attribution to those who helped build this university, curriculum changes, projects that help the community. One thing we realized, so many people in St. Louis is a small city, 300,000 people. I live in Los Angeles now. They're like, 12 million people where I live. So few people had even heard of this work. So another part of what we're hoping that comes out of this is some resources spent educating people about this work, because people in that very community don't know. And then, of course, some kind of financial restitution for the labor, for the wages that have been uncompensated for this period of time.
Reparations now, reparations forever. Reparations now, reparations forever. I love saying that as my clarion call to the United States government. And we know we're doing in the state of California. It's going to happen first in California. I just want to make sure that I pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force and also some of the other bright lawyers that are out there in the world doing their thing to make sure we get the push for reparations. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got back by popular demand. Even with some symptoms of heat stroke, I'm going to push myself through it. I got some Major League Baseball, the power rankings, and where the teams are standing now before we get to the All-Star break. My goodness, I love Major League Baseball. there's some great baseball around this country, some great baseball teams. The All-Star break is almost here, and when the baseball world gets together to watch some of the greatest players participate in the Home Run Derby, unfortunately for the Home Run Derby, you don't have to have a real pitch. They're trying to give you a curve, a layup, if that makes sense to you. But the Home Run Derby, the All-Star game in Arlington, Texas, the break might be a welcome reset for clubs such as the New York Yankees, the Seattle Mariners, the Kansas City Royals, who've all dropped more than half of their games since mid-June and hope to stop their respective skids. On the other hand, teams like the Philadelphia Phillies, who just swept the LA Dodgers, and the Cleveland Guardians, the Baltimore Orioles, and the Boston Red Sox are all riding a hot streak, not as hot as the streak in California and Nevada, but they're all playing great baseball. And when I think about the world of baseball, how you're going to get the All-Stars who are going to descend or ascend on Texas at the beautiful ballpark down in Arlington, and they'll have their own thoughts about who the best players are and who's going to win the World Series. It's just a nice push, pushing for the next team to get there. I'm going to start with my own thoughts, and of course, I love reparations, but I don't love reparations more than I love reparations. Reparations now! I want it now! Just like the Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I got number 15 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I have the Arizona Diamondbacks. First base in the National League is a tough field to crack, but when you're identifying players who were snubbed from the initial unraveling of the All-Star roster, Christian Walker is among the most prominent. He's the sport's best defensive first baseman and a back-to-back Gold Glove winner, and I got the Arizona Diamondbacks at number 15 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I'm going to go to number 14 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. It's my story, and I'm taking with it. I got the St. Louis Cardinals. When you think about the great city of St. Louis with the arch, it's kind of an interesting twist that a current wild card team has just one All-Star, and he's the closer. But that's how good Ryan Helsley has been for the St. Louis Cardinals. Finished with a league-leading 38 games on the mound, with a Major League Baseball leading 31 saves. And then Helsley's second All-Star appearance, as he's quietly put together a really good career, both as a middleman and a ninth inning expert. The Cardinals aren't using him to clean up dirty innings this season, which saves some wear and tear on his arm. All's fair and level work. He has a save percentage of 94% so far for St. Louis. I put them at number 14 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Now I got number 13 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. It's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got the San Diego Padres. The San Diego Padres, they got the great Fernando Tatis Jr., a previously named one of the National League's starting outfielders, is expected to remain out through at least the end of the month because of a stress reaction in his femur. But fellow high star, I'm telling you, a great player, Xander Bogaert, at the same time can return from his shoulder injury as early as today. And the Padres' other high-priced stars, Manny Machado, has heated up. Machado slashing 298, 348, and 496 since the start of June, and a run culminated by a walk-off home run against the Diamondbacks on Friday. Runners on first and third. They count for the pitch. Garbage swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. I got number 12 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I have the Kansas City Royals. What's the biggest surprise is that the Royals got 4 All-Stars on the American League squad for the first time since 2016. Are all of those 4 players deserve it? And all 4 players are not only deserve the honor, but that the process actually recognized them. The great Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Seth Lugo, and Cole Reagans all are headed to Arlington down in Texas, not just as a testament to Kansas City's success this season, but it shows how much this team is ready to win, and they're ready to win now. It doesn't mean they're going to win the American League, but I do think they're good enough to have cracked the number 12 spot in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I got to say number 11 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings is my thought, and I'm sticking with it. I got the Houston Astros also down in Texas. Their ballpark is fairly new in the last several years. Also, the ballpark in Arlington is new in the last couple of years. The great Jose Altuve and Jordan Alvarez, both named starters through the fan battling this season, marks just the fourth time the Astros have had multiple starters in an All-Star game. Both are deserving so. And when I think about this great baseball team, they've been at the top of the mountain fighting for the World Series. Really, of the last 8 years, they've been there as much as any other team in the National League or the American League. So Kyle Tucker also has been out for more than a month. He made the American League roster, showed just how well he was playing before going down. And obviously, they got to get him back if they're going to have a run at getting back to the World Series. I do want to tell you, Houston did not have any major oversights, though starter Ronel Blanco had to merit some consideration. Altuve joins Roberto Alomar and Rod Carew as the only American League second baseman selected at least 6 times by the fans. When the fans recognize how good you are, that shows you there's a lot of respect in the world of fans and Major League Baseball players. I got number 10 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball. Swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love seeing the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. In the Pacific Northwest, the Seattle Mariners might not seem like a first-place club, and they're not sleepers in Seattle. They do, in fact, still lead the American League West and have topped the division for nearly 2 months. That being the case, perhaps they deserve more than one All-Star, which turned out to be the righty starter, Logan Gilbert. Gilbert is a no-brainer, but you can make a case that George Kirby has been even better rather than picking up one over the other like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum with the Boston Celtics. Both should have made it. Also, Kyle Riley is there in the second tier of catchers, joining Salvador Perez, who made it, Logan O'Hawk, and Ryan Jeffers. Riley has been one of the most valuable defenders in baseball, and at the plate, he leads the woeful Mariners offense in win probability attitude. Seattle's a good team. They don't want to stay sleepers in Seattle, and that's a good ball club. If they can keep it together down the back nine, you got to like their chances if that makes sense to you. I got number 9 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Runners on first and third. They count for the pitch. Curveball. Swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run over the Green Monster. I got the Boston Red Sox. Devers had quite the weekend off the field. The third baseman was named an All-Star for the third time in his career. He also terrorized the New York Yankees in the Bronx yet again, going 7 for 12 with 3 home runs after the Red Sox took 2 of 3 from their rivals, the Yankees, at Yankee Stadium. His 16 home runs, 57 career games at Yankee Stadium are the most of any visitor since the start of the 2017 season. He's enjoying the best season of his stellar career, slashing 292, 377, 587 with 21 home runs and a 162 OPS. He's done it all with a sore left shoulder, and it's bothered him since the spring training, costing him 11 games early in April. But I'm going to keep an eye on him because he knows how to swing the bat, and he's a real deal for the Boston Red Sox. I got, in my opinion, number 8 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. I got runners on first and second. That counts for the curveball. Pitch, struggled, hit deep, right field, back to the wall, home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. The Minnesota Twins, despite owning their 7th best record in the major leagues, had just Carlos Correa make the initial American League roster. They deserve more love. The great Jose Miranda's historic streak of hits in 12 consecutive at-bats came far too late for consideration. But the great Byron Buxton, Willie Castro, and Ryan Jeffers had the numbers to warrant a selection. The vote goes to Castro. Positional versatility has become more valued than ever, but reciprocating accolades doesn't exist for utility players. He's 27 years old, has a bright future ahead of him, having a career year at the plate, posting a 1.28 WCR in a team-high 93 games while making at least 10 starts in 5 positions. I think he's going to do well going down the back nine. It's just a matter of can you stay healthy for the Minnesota Twins. I got number 7 in Big C's Major League Baseball power rankings. Now it's my story, and I'm going to stick with it. I got runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Scoreboard. Swung on. Hit deep. Center field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love saying the girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. I got the Milwaukee Brewers, when you think about the great Brewers, the great Christian Yelich, he's back. What a first half for the longtime star with the Brewers after some down moments over the past few seasons since he won the MVP award in 2018. He was never awful outside of 2020, but between some back issues and a drop in power, Yelich did not look like a guy who could go back-to-back in those elite numbers from the past decade. But he has done exactly that, making his third All-Star team appearance despite missing almost a month with an injury. But I'm telling you, this good boy, he's batting .329, and I think he's going to do okay for the good boys out of Milwaukee. So that's why I got them at Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings number 7. I got number 6 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I got runners on first and second. Counts full. The pitch, curveball, swung on, hit deep. Center field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love seeing the girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. I'm telling you, you gotta like this team, the Atlanta Braves, down in Stone Mountain, Georgia. The Braves made an important statement over the weekend, taking 2 of 3 from the Phillies. In the final on Sunday, the great Ronaldo Lopez pitched 6 shutout innings to run his record to 7-2 and lower his ERA to 1.71. He was then rewarded with his first All-Star selection. Fellow starter, the great Chris Sale, and also designated hitter Marcell Ozuna also made it. Sale made it to the Midsummer Classic, and I'm sure he's going to do his thing down in the great state of Texas. Ozuna was selected for his 3rd All-Star game, but first since 2017 with the Marlins. I'm telling you, that's a good team down in Atlanta. They're going to swing the bat, and they have a chance because they can hit well, and that's why I got them at number 6 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. I got number 5 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball, swung on, hit deep. Left field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love seeing the girls love the long ball. Men love to hit deep. The great Aaron Judge, not the judge in the courthouse, but the judge in the baseball park, and the great Juan Soto were named All-Star Game starters last week. The great Aaron Judge, you don't want to go see the judge, leading all vote getters. At the same time, Clay Holmes was named the Yankees' 3rd All-Star on Sunday as chosen by the league officials. And then Holmes was unequivocally one of the best closers in baseball until the middle of June. He did not allow an earned run in his first 20 appearances. He's a Jedi Knight trained long ago in a galaxy far, far away by the great Obi-Wan Kenobi. He learned to protect the assets of the New York Yankees at the same time. Really love watching them. The Yankees have been on a little bit of slide, but I think they have the hitters to get back in the second half of the season. Don't count out the Yankees with those pinstripes if that makes sense to you. I got number 4 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. Runners on first and second. The count's full. The pitch, curveball, swung on, in deep. Right field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love seeing the girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. You got Cleveland. This is for you. The Guardians will send five players to the All-Star Game starters: Jose Ramirez and Stephen Kwan, plus first baseman Josh Naylor and designated hitter David Fry, and then the closer Emmanuel Place. As Ramirez is his 6th All-Star selection and his first since starting in 2018. It's the first time Cleveland has had 5 All-Star players since 6 made it in 2018. All's fair and level where you gotta like the way Cleveland can swing the bat, especially coming around that back 9 in the second half of the season. I got number 3 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. It's my story, and I'm taking with it. Runners on first and second. Counts full. The pitch, curveball, swung on, hit deep. Left field, back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love seeing the girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. The Dodgers were swept by the Philadelphia Phillies, but I still got to number 3 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Ranking. Tyler Glasnow is selected. His first All-Star start on Sunday. 2 days later, lingering tightness in his lower back forced him to the IL, where he joined a who's who of starters and the shelf: Walker Buehler, the great Clayton Kershaw, Yoshinobu Yamamata, Emmett Sheehan, Dustin May, and the great Tony Gonsolin. The Dodgers have a starting pitching problem, a pretty big one actually. They're now counting on 4 rookies and 1 in Paxton, James Paxton, to make up their rotation, and one of those rookies, Bobby Miller, allowed 19 runs in 17 in the 3rd innings after returning from a shoulder injury. They got to get his shoulder back on ice. The Dodgers, they'll be fine. Dave Roberts will have them fine. They got whipped by the Phillies, but that's just one series, and all it was one series. I got number 2 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. Runners on first and third. That counts for the pitch. Curveball. Swung on. Hit deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. I love seeing the girls love the long ball, and men love to hit deep. You got the good boys, the Baltimore Orioles. Jordan Westburg was all but snub listed after the reserves were announced Sunday. 2 days later, the outrage was sprung pretty high when third baseman was named the Orioles' 4th All-Star, replacing Boston's Rafael Devers on the squad. While most of the attention goes to All-Star starters Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman, the Westburg has quietly been one of the most productive hitters in the majors, batting at .280 and then .327 and .512 in his second season. He ranks in the top 15 of the American League, and I'm telling you, he's one of those great players you can't wait to miss, or you can't wait to see him when he comes to the plate. Even with heat stroke, I got number 1 in Big C's Major League Baseball Power Rankings. The Philadelphia Phillies. Runners on first and third. They count for the pitch. Curveball. Swung in deep. Left field. Back to the wall. Home run. Say hello to my little friends. Love saying the girls love the long ball and men love to hit deep. The Philadelphia Phillies lead all teams with 7 All-Star selections, setting a franchise record. The great Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, and Alex Braun were elected as starters, while pitching starters, you have Zach Wheeler and Randy Suarez made it, along with relievers Jeff Hoffman and Matt Brim. I gotta tell you, no matter what you think of Major League Baseball, Atlanta got the best of the good boys from Philadelphia, and then Philly got the best of the LA Dodgers. It's about balls and strikes. Just because you win a series doesn't mean you're the best team. Just because you lose a series doesn't mean that you're the worst team. It's about balls and strikes. Harper just came off the injured list, but if he does start at first base, he'd be the first Phillies starter since John Crook in 1993. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you, I hope everyone has a chance to stay cool and stay hydrated. This heat is no joke in Denver Hills, California. I too gotta be careful because I haven't been feeling the best lately, but I still rise and shine. I think my body's saying, fool, you need to get your rest. And I'm gonna try to get my rest. As I always tell you, I love paying homage to my beautiful family legacy on my mother's side, my great grandparents. I call them Mama and Pop. Love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my grandparents, Muddeer and Hezekiah, they were seers. They could oftentimes look at a person and tell you a lot about their past, present, and future. Love them with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Then I can always depend on my mama, the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-boys and Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. Always saying rise and shine, the best person I ever met in my life. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my father's side, my grandparents, Albert and Alberta Curry, they were pastors. They owned 3 churches. They had 2 gas stations in Oakland, plus they owned 40 acres of land. And I really do appreciate that. And then I was about 8 years old, walking through the hallway in Oakland about 10 o'clock at night. I felt someone touch me on my forehead. She said, "What are you doing, young man, going to get some more cookies?" I said, "What are you doing?" "Grandma, it's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man, going to get some cookies?" I said, "Cookies are baby crap. What I'm doing, Grandma, I'm going to get my reparations and get rid of this heat stroke." She said, "There's something about your voice. I love hearing you speak. I love my grandparents with all my heart, mind, body, and soul." My beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, always making sure that planes can fly high so we could all stay safe at night. Oh, I love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always saying go forward and develop your mind to this highest extent. And then my beautiful brother Todd with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. A voracious reader. Always saying go forward. He said, "Don't look back because you don't have much in your backside anyway." I said, "I like my backside, Todd." He said my backside wasn't big enough. It was like in the movie Pulp Fiction when Bruce Willis was talking to Ben Rames before the big fight. And Ben Rames said, "Your butt goes down in the 5th round. Say that, Blip." And so Bruce Willis said, "Okay, my butt goes down in the 5th round." And Ben Rames said, "That stinging sensation you feeling? Well, that's just pride loving with you." And then Bruce Willis Ben Rames told Bruce Willis, he said, "Blood pride." He said, "Pride only hurts. It never helps. And you're in the ring, your butt goes down in the 5th round. Don't protect your assets." he told him take a dive, but Bruce Willis didn't take the dive. And that's how it ended bad for a lot of guys in that movie. Well, that was my entire favorite movie. Love Todd with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors, and 3.5 years from a major university. Helped set up the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast back in the days of Salem Media. Daisy, we went on to become the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. We got to always rise and shine. Daisy, you can be anything you want to be. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against you will prosper. You can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful, handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, erudite, the good man. You can be anything you want, Malcolm. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers to look up stats for Big C Sports Podcast. And one day, Malcolm said, Dad, why don't you just Google it? I've been Googling ever since. And now I'm streaming on 29 podcast platforms. And then one day, Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV, and say, play Big C Sports. You see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. Now it's streaming on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, I'm so proud of you. You can be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Always keep being a great man. And then Big C, with all that wealth of knowledge over the years, always saying you got to believe, you got to believe, you got to believe. Saying, let's get ready to rumble. I love saying welcome to the show. And it's been nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have no scripts. That's obvious, Big C. I have no teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. I do my show with this gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients call it the third eye. They say that's how you talk to God. And that's why I scream so loud, because I want God to hear me. God, you know what I'm asking you for. I'm already thanking you for your great anointing. All I say, God, is let it happen. And let it happen, God, let it happen. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. Well, that's my story, and I'm taking with it. As I always tell you on every Big C Sports show, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You can call Uber, you can call Lyft, you can walk it off, you can sleep it off. That's my story, and I'm taking with it. Well, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to champion reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly. There's no fighter greater than Muhammad Ali. Well, as I always tell you, my beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever go through that crap. If somebody's hitting you, I only hit you because you make me mad. Call 911. If somebody's kicking you, I only kick you because you make me mad. Call 911. If somebody's choking you out, I only choke you because you make me mad. Call 911. No man, woman, or child should ever have to deal with that crap on their own. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always say on every Big C Sports podcast, I love honoring President Abraham Lincoln when he said, reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Say it again. He said, reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! Say it like it already happened. You gotta say reparations at last! Reparations at last! Thank God Almighty! Reparations at last! I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.